So today's video is going to be a little bit different. This is a pretty serious topic. This is something that's not talked about as much, and it should definitely be talked about. And if you're going through something similar, you should know that you are not alone on this. This is very common with other moms, and like I said, I think this should be talked about a lot more. I just want to clarify that I was not in a suicidal state of mind. I did not have thoughts of harming myself or my child. This is just my experience with postpartum depression. I was in a bad mindset, but it wasn't that extreme. So I was in a really bad depression before my pregnancy with Lily, which I can make a completely separate video on that. But yeah, I was going through a very hard time before I found out I was pregnant with Lily. My pregnancy with Lily was very hard, emotionally and physically. It was very hard for me. And I know this is going to be a little bit controversial, but I was taking medication while I was pregnant with Lily, and it definitely helped. But I think where I messed up completely on this and where I went wrong was I stopped taking my medication as soon as I delivered Lily. I stopped taking it right after. And again, this is where I messed up. I think I had that mindset where everybody was telling me that having a baby is the happiest thing that will ever happen to you, which it is. It's one of the happiest days of my life. I can't even explain being a mom. It's one of the best things that has ever happened to me, but I was in a very bad place. I told myself that I didn't need medication and I would just be happy. And this was always something that I had worried about during my pregnancy with Lily. It was always in the back of my mind that I would get postpartum depression. I kind of set myself up for that. I kept having thoughts of, how can I take care of a baby when I can't even take care of myself? And it was just always in the back of my mind. So I just want to point out that there is horrible expectations put on women right after they give birth. I think that you're just expected to pop out a baby and everything is supposed to be okay, which I've heard of women giving birth and then a week later they're fitting in their old clothes, they're out doing stuff, like everything's okay, which yes, that happens, but that's not as common. That's not my experience with it, at least personally, and at least with the other friends and family that I've talked to, that's not always the case. That doesn't always happen. Everyone is different. Every woman's experience with pregnancy and labor and delivery and their motherhood journey is going to be different. It can be extremely overwhelming, especially with your first child. I don't think I was as prepared as I thought I was with Lily. I definitely was not prepared. Cody and I were first-time parents. We had never taken care of a baby before. This was definitely a new, scary experience for us. We were learning how to be parents, and we're still learning. It's still a learning process. It was very overwhelming for me, adjusting to becoming a mom. It was just very hard for me. I felt so lost and alone. I'm incredibly lucky to have such a strong support system. At the time that I gave birth to Lily, Cody and I were living at my parents', which they helped out so much. After bringing Lily home, there were nights that they stayed up with Lily just so that me and Cody could get some sleep or take a break. They were so helpful, and I don't think I would have been able to do it without them. But this was nothing that anybody did. There was nothing that could have been done. It was just me personally. I felt lost and alone. I was going through so many hormones. My body was trying to get back to normal. I had thoughts of being lost personality wise. Like, who am I? What is my life? It can be very overwhelming bringing a baby home and adjusting to being a mom. At least for me, you have this new role in your life, you have this new title, and it can just be very stressful and hard to adjust to that. I definitely just didn't feel like myself. I would cry in the shower, I would cry sitting in my car. And so when Lily was a few months old, Cody had gotten a job offer in North Carolina. We had decided as a unit that this was going to be the best thing for us as a family unit, and we decided to move to North Carolina. And honestly, I was good at first. I tried to make the best out of the situation. I tried to meet other moms, get out of the house with Lily as much as I could. But then I noticed a few months in that it just got hard. I essentially left my support system here in Colorado. I had no friends, no family. I left all of that behind. So we were in the middle of nowhere. Cody was working all the time and I was stuck at home with Lily. And I didn't take this well. So a few months in, I noticed that I stopped going out of the house. I stopped going to the grocery store. I stopped going to library time with Lily. I stopped doing all of that, and I think it was very easy for me to fall into a place where I was in the middle of nowhere. So I could tell everybody, all my friends and family, that everything was okay and everything was fine. I was very embarrassed to tell anybody what was going on. And again, it was very easy because I didn't have anybody around me that I could just put on a front. And I talked to my mom every single day when I was living in North Carolina. And I just could not keep pretending with her. And I think she was catching on. And there was one night where I don't remember specifically what she said, but it was something along the lines of, I miss you, and I just know, I know you, and I know that you're struggling. Please come home. And I don't think I've ever cried so hard to my mom. I definitely broke down, and again, this was very hard to admit that I was going through a bad place. And I definitely think Cody caught on too. I think he could tell that there was a change in myself. And again, I wasn't leaving the house, and I refused to go do anything with Lily, and I was stuck at home, and Cody definitely noticed. And so we had decided that I should take a break to Colorado. So in the fall, I came back for 2 months. And I told all my friends, other than my parents, I told all my friends that I used work as an excuse, pretty much. That I was coming back for work because I was so ashamed of telling anybody what was happening. And so I came back for 2 months, and I saw a therapist, and I started back on the medication, and the break with my family, being here with my family, definitely helped. It was good for me to be here and to get help with Lily and be able to have a break and take care of myself, and that was good. I was in a better place. And so I went back to North Carolina. Everything was good. We were there for a few months, and again, I was in a better mindset. I was in a better place. And me and Cody had talked for a long time about this, and we had decided that it would probably be best to move back here to Colorado. So we did. We packed up and moved here. This is probably the best decision for us family-wise. We're with family and friends. We get that support system, we get that help, and things are a lot better. Looking back on it now, I wish I would have done things differently. I wish I would have gotten help a lot sooner. I was in a very overwhelming place emotionally, and it's sucky to say that. It does get easier to an extent. Not entirely, but it does get better. It does get easier. You just adjust. You will start to feel like yourself again. You will start to find yourself again. I'm hoping that since I've gone through this before, that I'm able to cope and know the signs, and it'll be a little bit easier this time around. I'm in a way better place than I was before. I'm going into this pregnancy way more positive. If you ever felt the way that I felt, please know that you're not alone, and it does get easier. Hopefully this does help someone. Hopefully this helps somebody out there that's struggling. The bad feelings don't last forever. Thank you so much for watching, and if you sat through the entire video, thank you for listening to me ramble. And I will see you guys in the next video.